So welcome to day 26 of our HackerRank 30 days coding challenge, and today we are going to be talking about nested logic. Now you need to pay attention to how this challenge develops. It says your local library needs your help. Given the expected and actual return date for a library book, create a program that calculates the fine, if any. The fee structure is as follows. If the book is returned on or before the expected return date, no fine will be charged. If the book is returned after the expected return date, but still within the same calendar month and year as the expected return date, the fine will be 15 hackles times the number of days late. If the book is returned after the expected return month, but still within the same calendar year as the expected return date, the fine is equal to 500 hackles times the number of months late. If the book is returned after the calendar year in which it was expected, there is a fixed fine of 1,000 hackles. Alright, so let's go develop this problem here. So the first thing we want to do, we want to read the input. We want to read first the return date and then the due date. So the first thing we are going to do, I'm going to show you how to use list comprehension to read in input, and also how to use map to read inputs as well into a list of variables. So we have return dates, return month, and return year is equal to, so it's going to be int x. So I'm going to convert the x to integer for all the inputs read, input.split.strip, and we are going to split it by space. So we're going to then have a list of items returned, a list of 3 items returned that are now assigned to these 3 variables. For x, so for x in input, so this is how to use list comprehension to read 3 items. Let me show you another method, this time using the map function. So I'm using the map function. So it's going to be due date, return date, and return year is equal to a list, and we are going to map. Yes, the inputs dot strip dot split. Alright, so this also gives us the same result. So in this case, I'm using the map function to map these inputs to a list and then return it. So if I print them out, in case you want to check if it works, I'm going to just print them out. So I'm going to print them out. So I'm going to say dd, it's going to be like this. And so if, say, format, and rd, rm, and rwrite. So if I, just to check what comes out, I'm going to run. So alright, so I see where the mistake is coming from. So this map is going to be a function like this. So it's going to map, and it's going to take int, and it's going to map all the inputs to int, and I'm going to just close this up. So this is how it will be. It will be list map, then provide what you need to map. So if I run it now, I think it's going to give us the output we want. So you can see the output right here. And if you also check the first one, this time dd, rd, and dy. So in this dy, so it's going to be this one, dy. So let's run it to see if everything is fine. So in that case, we'll know that our input is okay. Perfect. So our input is perfectly okay. So normally what I do is, they gave us 3 options. We have to check, in this case, we have to check the year. If the year is, the return year is beyond the due year, is 1,000 hackles. But if the return year is less than the due year, is 0 hackles. So let's see if we can develop it gradually. So let's start by saying if return year is less than due year, right? So in this case, we are going to print 0 because the fine is going to be 0 hackles. Or let's just call it fine is equal to 0. So I'm going to say else if return year is the same as due year. In this case, we now have to check month and day. All right, so check month and day. I'm going to now say else so in this case it's not less than the return year is not less than the due year. It's not equal to, so it means it must be greater than. So I'm going to, the fine is going to be 1,000 hackles. All right, so the fine is 1,000. So here we are now going to do exactly the same thing we did with the year. So I'm going to say if this time is RM is less than DM, is less than DM. If RM is less than the return month is less than 2 months, then our fine is equal to 0. Yes. Else if RM is equal to DM, then we are going to check the date, the day. So check day. Okay. So why do we have this undefined variables DM? So our return day, return month, and return year. Okay, due day, due month, and due year. All right, so we are going to check day here, and else it means that it's neither equal to or less. So we are going to find this person. So find is equal to in this case 500 hackles. 500 times the difference in the month. So it's going to be a return month minus due month. All right. Okay, so this is fine. So here, let's now check the dates. So we are going to say if return day is less than or equal to the due day, which is DD. If it's less than or equal to the due day, then fine is equal to 0 hackles. Else fine should be 15 hackles times the difference in the date. So it's going to be 15 hackles times due date, which is DD, minus the return date. All right, so this is how I developed this logic, and I hope it's a bit clear. If not, I'll take some time to write it out on a paper, and it's going to be clear for you. So I'm going to just print out the fine, and let's see what comes out. So let's run this code, and let's see. So it gives us wrong answer. It says minus 45, so something is wrong. So it's actually return minus due. Return day minus due day. So it's always R minus D. Return minus, and yeah, this should be fine. So I'm going to run the code again. And at this point, you can see that it passed the test case, the sample test case 0. Let's now submit to see if everything is going to work fine. So I'm going to submit this code, and it fails 2 test cases. Now I want to guess that the problem is because I'm using this extra variable. So instead of this, I'm going to simply print out. I'm going to just print out everything instead of using instead of using another variable. So in this case, we are not using any additional variable. So we have fine here to be 1,000. It should have been 10,000. I don't know. I think that may be the problem. So I'm going to just print 10,000. Maybe that is the problem. I don't know. But let's just run the code again. So I'm going to submit. And you can see that everything should pass. Everything should pass. I'm very sure about this. All right, so everything passed successfully, and I think it's just this typo we had here that caused the problem. So a big thumbs up to you for coming this far. I want to thank you for being there. If this has been informative for you, please subscribe to my channel and also like my video and leave me a comment if you have find this useful. And we'll see in the next part, which is day 27. Before then, I remain Kindson the Tech Pro, and I'm always there for you.